What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about fixed price, fixed scope, and fixed schedule engagements. 21st century ERP engagement delivery, how to win from the start. Let's talk about right-sizing resources, how remote changed everything and it's time for the world to catch up. First of all, we want to toss out this idea of paying for 40 hours a week forever. We want the right resources with the right skills for just the right hours. A reminder that the 40-hour arbitrage is a giant lie. Aim for 4 to 6 hours per day max. That's the sweet spot. That's where you're going to get the max output that correlates to the amount of rate that you're paying resources. 4 to 6 hours, top output. We want to fit the resource buys to the outstanding tasks. That's going to tie into the right resources, the right hours, aiming for the 4 to 6 because we're using the best, most capable part of a person's day and output level and productivity. We're tying it all together here. COTS ERP, first principles in the 21st century. Success of an engagement can be defined as follows. We're transforming the old to the new per the SOW constraints. The statement of work. The constraints that are identified in the statement of work must be followed. Assuring that users have qualified to drive it, that which we have implemented, is absolutely critical and most often the most overlooked part of an ERP engagement, going back decades. The COTS package is the solution. We are not designing, we are transforming. The minute that you invite functional people, functional consultants to start designing is the minute the project starts to fail. We are not designing, we are transforming. We are taking old, we are taking inputs, and we are transforming them into a new system. We are not designing the system was designed by the ERP manufacturer. Related to the second point of success of an engagement is that mastering navigation equates to 75% of user readiness. Generally, when a person has mastered navigation, they are 75% ready to use that system. They will find their way around. They know what they need to do. But this is, again, one of the most overlooked aspects of getting the users qualified to actually drive it. This is how we do becomes this is how we used to do. We are not taking processes that existed in the old system and moving those processes precisely how those processes existed in the old system to the new system. Absolutely no Picassos. Implementers are not artists. Implementers transform and map, and Picassos are certainly not in scope. Divining solutions is time theft. And time, ladies and gentlemen, is money. Find these people and have them eliminated from your company immediately. They're stealing from you. Let's talk about transformation as a service. TAAS. We have SaaS, we have PaaS, now we have TAAS. So we have a client, and the client has purchased a COTS ERP package, and it needs to be implemented. And so the client's old system, the system that they're going to leave, is chock full of tokens. Now, as it shows down below, tokens equal key client inputs to be transformed. Transformed meaning we're going to take from the old and we are going to transform it into the new ERP package that is already designed and already ready to operate. But the one thing it's lacking are the client's tokens. So the first order of business for this TAAS service is to gather the tokens. Those tokens will be passed on to two sections: implementation services, which will be defined in a few moments, and transformation SMEs, TSMEs. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about tokens, the tokenization process. That is your legal organization, your location, your chart of accounts, your values for the chart of accounts, your accounting manual, your journal entry methods, whether it's spreadsheet or otherwise, legally required financial reports, your payment methods, your key point of contacts for the engagement, your indirect tax exposure, your purchasing categories, your inventory item listing, your organizational chart, your departments, your jobs, your positions, your approval authority matrix, the payroll components, that's your salary, deductions, additions, etc., your bank accounts, your bank account transaction codes for bank reconciliation, your payment terms, your process flow diagrams. All of this must come from the client, and the name of the game here is client should provide this before the project starts. The project should not start, and it should not be the objective of the project team to start sorting this out as the project goes along. Now, the reason we do this tokenization process prior to the project or the engagement beginning is that all of this information generally exists already. We should not be burning expensive consultant resources on gathering that which the client already has and is the only persons that can provide it, whether they provide it by telephone or whether they provide it by meeting or otherwise. The most efficient, most cost-effective way for all parties is to have this information gathered by the client before the project even starts. Now, here's where all the magic starts. This is where the transformation as a service kicks in. We will receive all of the tokens, gather tokens, structure them into documents, structure them into configuration documents, determine the best fit, the best mapping, the best transformation, flowing into the new ERP COTS package, and the net result of aggregating, compiling, transforming, mapping into the COTS system will be client new system. The client will end up with a transformed system from old to new based on taking all of the inputs. The inputs are the tokens. The tokens will be analyzed and structured, mapped, transformed, and put into the COTS package, moved over, and the client will start to drive it. Okay, so let's get into implementation services. This is a crack group of folks who are medium to low cost. Generally, they're outsourced, and generally, they're not client-facing. It's a team of functional specialists, not client-facing, and technical specialists. And let's get into what they cover. These are the ones that are going to do the token gathering before the engagement even starts. They're going to reach out to the client with documents, requesting that the client complete the documents such that all of the tokens can be gathered to be ready to be mapped, to be transformed into the new package. These are the folks that will be doing the configurations. The configurations will be the results of the gathering of the tokens. The tokens will be mapped to configuration document. These are the folks that will be doing that. They will also play a role in gap remediation. They are functional specialists. They will assist the SMEs to determine the best way forward for those gaps which have been approved to be included inside of the SOW. These are the same folks that are going to do the approval workflow, the AP invoice, the general ledger journal, the procurement, the requisition, the PO, etc., etc. The approval workflows will not be done by SMEs. These are the same people who will build the reports. Which reports? The financial reports, the FRS, the Smart View. These are the folks that will build the test script. They will be the TSME support. The idea is to get all work that can be done and should be done by medium to low cost resources versus having it done by SMEs, which don't necessarily need to do it. Finally, these are the folks that will do the project scheduling and tracking. Technical folks, these are our converters. They are going to convert suppliers and jobs and all of that good stuff. These are the same folks that will do the integration, bank reconciliation, etc. They will provide technical guidance to the functional specialists over there on the left-hand side where needed, for example, within workflows and report building, etc. These are the folks who will handle the security, both the security on data and the security on functions. These are also the folks who will build the paid custom. They won't build unpaid custom. They will build paid custom that has been defined in the SOW. Now let's talk about these transformation SMEs. These are high cost folks. They're going to support the token gathering. They're going to do the token review / mapping. They're going to do the in-scope gap remediation. They're the engagement contact, and they are going to moderate the CRPs, the SITs, and the URTs. So being that they're the contact point, whenever there is an issue with regards to token gathering, they're going to play a role. These folks who understand the ERP package are going to play an absolutely key role in terms of reviewing the tokens received and then mapping them to the ERP package. They also play a key role in scope gap remediation. Again, this is the stuff that has to do with knowing the package. They're the engagement contact, as mentioned, and they're going to moderate in different capacities the CRPs, the SITs, and the URTs. So the number one objective here is to keep these hours, these activities, to an absolute minimum. We never want SMEs doing work that the implementation services can do at a much lower cost. This is critical. Let's reduce costs forever. The SMEs will service multiple engagements. They do not design, they map and transform. We never want them anywhere near conversions or integrations. They do not touch approval workflows. They are not authorized to define chaos, no Picassos. They do not configure, and 95% of the documenting is done by implementation services. Now let's talk about what winners will be doing going forward. The winners will be tokenizing like there's no tomorrow. The winners will kill off the 40-hour work model. It's way too expensive. They're going to right-size resourcing, 0 to finished hours and no more, hire across the globe, construct your employing network now, hire the best for the task and no more. You want to minimize chaos, no Picassos, and no divining. You want to hire fast and you want to fire faster, and you want to minimize high-priced prima donnas. So let me talk about each of these a little bit. So tokenize like there's no tomorrow. First of all, tokenizing is critical. It's cost-effective. It's mostly done by clients, and failing to tokenize to get all of the details is a guarantee for you to fail and end up in lawsuits. Next up, we need to kill off the 40-hour work week model. This is way too expensive. You're paying people who will produce approximately 30 hours of work. If that much, you're paying them for 40 hours. This is an absolute disaster. It is a holdover leftover from the 1950s. Listen, Henry Ford is dead, and so too should be dead this 40-hour work week that's inefficient, ineffective, and relates to the days when people worked in offices and not remote. Now, right-sizing resources. 0 to finished hours and no more. No more skills and no more hours. Do not want to be paying people who are sitting around. You want to right-size the work, identify the work, right-size it. 0 to finish. There are loads of people who would love to, in between baking their cakes at home, get your work done and go back to pulling the cake out of the oven. You need to start constructing your employing network now. You need to start hiring across the globe, because this is where the wage arbitrage exists. The skills are there. You just have to find them, but you need to construct an employing network to do that. Third, in the right sizing of resources, hiring the best for the task and no more. You don't want to overhire skills. You don't want to be putting SMEs to document. You do not want SMEs to configure. You do not want SMEs involved in conversions. This is extremely expensive. Hire the best for the task at hand. Focus on implementation services, the right work for the right people. I'm literally connected to hundreds, if not thousands of them on LinkedIn. Why aren't you and why aren't your recruiters connected to these people? Now let's talk about minimizing chaos, no Picassos, and no divining. When you allow your SMEs to go off creating Picassos, divining solutions that are the best in the history of the world, that go completely out of the scope of the SOW, you are entering the space of failed projects and lawsuits. And when you think about it, none of these SMEs are qualified to create Picassos. They only believe they are. So they're off on your project, on your dime, creating chaos that is extremely expensive. You need to find these people, identify them, and remove them from your engagements for all time. Next up, we have hire fast and fire faster. It's self-evident. Make it happen. Last but certainly not least, minimize the high-priced prima donnas. These are your subject matter experts. These are the tool experts. They love to charge high rates, and they will kill your profitability on your project. They will create chaos if you let them. You need to keep these people out of the mix. You want to focus on implementation services, lower cost, medium cost. These are the people that will get the work done, and they won't cost you a fortune nor create Picassos. Okay, let's bring this whole thing home. Look, I get it. There's a whole truckload of those who are still infected with the boomer mindset virus, and they are going to resist this with every fiber of their existence. These are the same people who are resisting working remote. These are the folks infected with the boomer mindset virus. It's okay. One day they will either decide to adopt these methodologies, or they will compete against those who do adopt these methodologies, and they will lose. Listen, most folks are doing the majority of what's described in this video already. They call it something else. Now, there's a whole pile of new stuff in what I've described today. Most of it's not being spoken about, but most of it's being done in one manner or another. The issue at hand is that we have not really adapted to the reality that remote work is here. Remote work gives us the opportunity to get rid of commutes, get rid of offices, and in doing so, we can right-size the people that are out there that are dying to do work for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 hours a week, and those people are going to be high producers. They exist, we can find them, we can hire them, and we can do magic. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed the video.